welcome to the Grand Prix podcast.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Yes, it is the British Grand Prix. Here comes the sun, doodle-doo-doo. Well, actually, here comes the rain, because this is Britain and we wouldn't have it any other way. Welcome to Silverstone, where the only thing more unpredictable than the weather is whether McLaren will be able to keep their drivers from having a proper scrap in front of a home crowd. If you can't handle the high-speed thrills, then as Ant and Dec would say in perfect unison, get them out of here! Except it's papaya orange cars we're watching, not C-list celebrities in a jungle. And bruv, these McLaren machines are looking absolutely leng on track with their special chrome livery this weekend, innit? As Winston Churchill once says, we shall never surrender, and neither will Lando Norris, who's trailing his teammate Oscar Piastri by 15 points in what's becoming the most polite championship fight since two Englishmen argued over who should go through the door first. 1-2 in Austria, but will they stay friends when the checkered flag waves over Northamptonshire? As Miriam Margolyes might say with her trademark bluntness, oh for fuck's sake, just get on with it! Speaking of icons, Max Verstappen's championship crown is looking rather wobbly after that lap 1 tango with Kimi Antonelli in Austria. As Adele might sing, we could have had it all, rolling in the deep. Apologies. Except Max was rolling back into the garage, and his championship lead is evaporating faster than tears in the cheek of an Adele fan. This lad is absolutely gutted, my slime. George Russell is breathing down his neck like a very polite assassin. Freddie Mercury would have called this a killer queen moment. Someone's about to bite the dust. And then there's Lewis Hamilton, 7-time world champion, king of the realm, and the man who last year reminded us all, as Stormzy would say, when it comes to his home race, Lewis is best in a scene. Tell my man. His ninth Silverstone victory was pure theatre, like Princess Diana stepping out of that car at the Met Gala, utterly transformative. Now he's in Ferrari red, and we all want to see if this could be where Sir Lewis gets his first podium in the prancing horse. As Princess Diana once said, there was 3 of us in this marriage. Well, now there's 3 championship contenders in this fight, and Lewis is lurking in the background like a wild card in red. Meanwhile, Williams are having the sort of weekend that makes you want to channel Simon Cowell with a no-nonsense response of, it's a no from me. Double DNF in Austria? That's more painful than stepping on an F1 Lego car barefoot. As Gemma Collins would say, I'm feeling quite emotional because... is that trifle up there? But unfortunately, there was nothing sweet about their race. You see, Silverstone isn't just an old minging circuit. It's where it all began 75 years ago, where Nino Farina decided that driving really, really fast in circles might be quite good fun. Built in an old airfield, because if you're going to repurpose a runway, you might as well make it into the most exhilarating 3.5 miles of tarmac on the planet. From Maggots to Beckett's to Abbey, corners with names that sound like a medieval buffet, but feel like you're being fired out of a cannon at 200 miles per hour. This is where drivers spend 80% of their time with their right foot wielded to the floor, and the other 20% praying to whatever deity oversees carbon fibre and Pirelli rubber. As Shakespeare might have written, to break or not to break, that is the question. Though at Silverstone the answer is usually not to break. So grab your brolly, queue up properly, and remember, if your car isn't making you go fast enough, listen to Christian Horner and change your fucking car. If Adele was here, she'd probably be singing about who was about to set fire to the rain. Metaphorically speaking, of course. Sir Elton would be telling us it's still standing after all these years because of its iconic status as a cathedral of speed. This is Silverstone 2025, where the weather is cold, the racing is hot, and the excitement keeps calm and carries on.
Go on.
Damn.
I'm actually sweating.
You know what that was? That was very lang. In it.
Oh, dear Lord.
It was a little awkward hand gesture you did. Am I doing it?
Did I say that right?
Yes, you did. Did you like my quintessentially British intro?
Yes, although there's bits I didn't get.
Hit me.
The one that you said in unison in the beginning, I don't know who that is.
I'm a celebrity, get me out of here.
I haven't seen it.
Oh.
I've seen clips of it.
Oh.
Yeah, I've seen clips. I've never seen an actual show.
Oh,
So you don't know who Ant and Dec are?
No.
Get out.
This is my exit from the show.
It's the ITV show where they bring
I
crappy
know.
celebrities into the jungle.
I know the show, I just don't know the reference.
Oh.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, at the start
I'm
of
a
the show.
celebrity, get me out of here! Ow!
Okay, you were just literally saying the actual line.
Yep.
I thought it was like a niche reference.
But it is kind of niche, I guess.
No, it's not.
Oh, it's not niche at all.
I like the Gemma Collins one.
Thank you.
I
Yeah.
have seen that TikTok.
That trifle.
Your Shakespeare was giving more James Corden, I felt.
Oh, I missed this Shakespeare.
Oh, I should have had Gavin Stacey in this.
Yes, do it now.
And the In-Betweeners.
Oh, shit.
You've missed out all the important parts. Peggy Mitchell.
Oh, fine. Oh, that's made me a bit flat now.
Oh. Just try and find a way to work it into the rest of the episode.
I really wanted to add an ad-lib of Gavin and Stacey completely forgot what she says.
It's all the drama, Mick. I love it.
What
Funny that, because I use Clarence.
What is it that one that girl says? The emo, not the emo word, but you know who I mean.
What's occurring?
Yes, that. I wanted to say that.
Cool.
Just imagine I said that. What's occurring?
Ew!
Oh,
Okay,
my
let's-
lordy.
Don't ruin this day for us. It's important for Brits.
Right, well, that was a wonderful intro, as always.
Thank you so much.
Can you follow it up with an incredible quali lap?
What is, yes.
Go on, ask your question.
What is the time?
So, you've got 1 minute and 24 seconds. That is the time that was set by Max Verstappen during Saturday's qualifying session. Are you ready?
Yes.
Are you steady?
Yes.
Then, better get on with your quali lap, friend!
Amazing. Q1 began with a light drizzle reported by Gasly, and Max Verstappen set the initial fastest lap. Norris closed behind Charles Leclerc in P3. However, Piastri ultimately topped the timing screens. Fernando Alonso showed good pace, and Ollie Behrman secured P8 despite a 10-place grid penalty. Yuki Tsunoda was P14, about 6/10 off Verstappen's pace. A red flag was called just under 7 minutes remaining after Franco Colapinto spun and hit the barrier, though he managed to keep his car running until eventually pulling over. Once the session resumed, Leclerc was noted for a yellow flag infringement, but later he was cleared. Lewis Hamilton reported a more slippery track. Alex Albon moved on to the top 3, and Verstappen improved his P1 time. Tsunoda climbed to P6, and Behrman delivered a blistering middle sector to enter the top 3. Hamilton, low on fuel, barely made it through to Q2 and P14, while Leclerc only managed P9. Lawson, Bortoletto, Stroll, Hülkenberg, Colapinto were out. In Q2, Verstappen encountered struggles with shear and gift issues. The Ferraris initially used scrub tyres, putting them off the pace. Piastri set a time identical to Verstappen's, placing him in P2. Alonso continued his impressive pace, staying in the top 3, whilst Norris held onto the top spot early in the session. With 7 minutes remaining, the Ferraris needed to find pace. Leclerc moved into P2, and surprisingly, Hamilton went P1, indicating a significant improvement from Ferrari. Tsunoda finished in P10, and Kimi Antonelli secured P8, and Russell took P9. Sainz, Tsunoda, Hadjar, Albon, and Ocon were out. Q3 saw Piastri provisionally on pole position. Norris went P2, though he lost time by going deep into turn 3. Verstappen initially placed P3, marking the car is just so difficult. Piastri also noted a need to check the floor. With just under 4 minutes left, the cars returned to the track for their final runs. Norris started his flying lap first, followed by Piastri. Ultimately, the Ferraris bagged 5th and 6th. Russell got 4th, while Norris took P3. Piastri snatched P2, but it was Max Verstappen who secured pole position.
Very nice.
Well done.
That was, like, just on the cusp of the time.
Nailing it.
All in one take.
Thank you. Shut the fuck up. Love you, friend.
Okay, who was your standout? Because I think it's quite obvious, no?
For what?
Quali.
Who was my standout?
Ollie Behrman. What the
Oh,
hell was he doing in the
yes.
top 10?
Yes.
Sorry.
He needs to get a grid penalty all the time because he pushed.
I think he'd quite like to stay up there one time
I
at
think-
least.
Don't you curse, Ollie Behrman.
But I think it was the pressure. I think without the pressure, he might have not been able to do as well. He finished in P8 and then dropped to P18.
Well, I think they should always have pressure on them.
Yes,
They
but
should always have the
apparently they
pressure to
don't.
want to do well.
Diamonds are made under pressure.
Thank you for that insightful.
I thought it would
addition
continue
there.
the conversation. It seems to have ended it. No, yes, Ollie Behrman did brilliantly. He's a good little racer. I like Ollie Behrman. You can't not. He's a sweetheart. But he's already messed it up because he's already got a 10-place grid place penalty. So whatever he was going to do, he was always going to look like momentarily maybe a hero, then back to 0 again
Yeah.
because he's got the 10-place grid penalty. But he managed to get himself a little bit higher than we were expecting
Yeah.
because of that.
He could have easily given up and been like, okay, wherever I end up, I'm going to end up getting last anyway because I'm going to be dropped down so low. But he gave his all.
That's very true. That's
Yeah.
very true. Never give up.
Never drop down.
Okay.
What?
Is that the saying?
Are you thinking of Rick Astley? Never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down.
No, there is
That's
a saying.
exactly what she's thinking
No,
of.
there is a
She just
saying.
nodded and said yes.
I'm thinking of a song.
But isn't there the never back down, never what?
Oh, maybe it's that.
Stop trying to change it so you look less lame.
I just thought it was saying, but I was like, maybe it is song, but then what you said makes sense.
Brilliant.
Right, on that note, should we get on with this British Grand Prix?
Yes!
Okay, so I want to preface this episode by saying that we went out to go and get lunch and to just have like a little walk around and absolutely got drenched.
Yes.
Like drowned rats.
Yeah, our shoes were squelching from
Yep.
like how much rain there was inside. And as soon as it started raining on us, I started checking the F1 lives and stuff like that to see if it was raining out in Silverstone, and it was, and I was so excited. And even though I was absolutely soaking and freezing cold, I was also like squealing in the streets.
It's true. Nothing like when you're getting absolutely pelted by the rain and your best friend is saying, "Oh my god, it's going to be ready for the race," to get you home
That's
faster.
the only good thing of being out in that weather.
Literally,
Yeah.
yeah.
And the rain did fall.
The rain
in
did fall.
Silverstone,
The
and
rain
it did
fall.
not disappoint.
No,
What
it
an
did
excited
not.
race. I will say, I was a bit sad by the whole racing under the safety car for like however many laps it was. It dragged on.
I mean, to be honest with you, it felt like a lot of the safety car periods dragged on.
Yeah.
Because the lap's actually quite long, so there's only 52 of them. And last time out in Austria, we obviously had like over 70.
Yeah.
And it was a decent amount of chunks. Whereas this felt like it was like precious lap time was disappearing.
Yeah,
Obviously
I would have
safe,
preferred
but-
it if they had just red flagged it, waited for the rain to cool off, so then we didn't lose all of those racing laps.
Oh,
It
that
would have been
made it
cool.
exciting.
Yeah,
I
it would have
like
been cool to
seeing
have
them
gone off the
racing on
line as well and
Yeah.
had another race restart.
I saw someone award their driver of the day to the safety car driver.
Yes,
Bert
Bert
Which I
Weilander.
think is well deserved. Your prediction turned out to be correct. Your
Yes,
wildcard
my
prediction.
wildcard prediction. The only one out of us three to get a correct
Yes.
prediction. And it was that we would start the race on a drying track, which
Yep.
we did, and then
That is
the
not
rain
a
picked
wild
up.
card. That's just using your face.
Sorry,
like, that's
I'm not a weather person. I didn't know what the weather was going to be like.
We're in the same country as the weather, and you just prefaced the fact that you just said we were walking around.
No, but
in
we
the
made
wet.
those predictions at like 10 a.m.
But we did check the weather app yesterday to see if it was going to be
and
raining.
we're also British, and we know that weather apps can never be trusted.
We chose them today. It was the race predictions.
Yeah, like 10 a.m.
Yeah, you don't get that. You don't get that.
Don't be bitter, just be better.
Yes, to yourself.
No, you.
You look
I
to
am
yourself
talking to
and
you,
you say
lady.
it to yourself.
We're going to have a fight, you and
Yeah.
me. Mick, Michael,
I don't get it.
get out of my pub.
You can't mix Gavin and Stacey into EastEnders. You must
They're
combine.
both BBC.
All right, fine. Well, I'll tell you one thing. I'll tell you what I want. I want to talk about the amount of incidents that happened in this race.
Yes.
Because I can't keep up. So I've decided to compile all of my notes, Google, and have a look at them. So Behrman was P11 despite contact with his teammate and Sonoda in 2 separate incidents. Ocon was P13, also after 2 lots of contact with Behrman and also Lawson. The 2 Haas drivers were being investigated. Sainz tangled with Leclerc at one point and lost out late on. Leclerc had a bit of a shocker, the wrong call to put on the slicks at the start before
Yeah.
2 forays off track in wet conditions. Sonoda had a 10-second penalty for tagging Behrman. He came home last, having not finished in the top 10 since Imola. Hadjar and Antonelli had contact and both retired out of the race. Bortoletto spun himself off. Lawson was out after first lap contact with Ocon, and then Colapinto stalled in the pit lane at the start to end his day at a very early stage.
No one talked about Colapinto.
No.
Like, we started the race and out of nowhere he just
His name
had a
was just grayed
DNS.
out.
Yeah,
Yes.
and they just didn't mention it.
There is actually something to talk about with Colapinto, because
We'll talk about him now, and he's going to want us to shut up real quick.
so, as we know, after Miami, Jack Doohan hopped out of his Alpine.
Kicked out.
Yeah, thought this might be the last time I'm stepping out of a
Was
car this
dragged
big.
out.
Yeah.
Exactly. And went over to speak to his team principal and manager, Flavio Briatore. And Flavio obviously said, "How are you doing? Are you having a good weekend? I don't want you to race for my team anymore." And he said, "I'm good. Didn't have the best weekend." What? So then they swapped him out for Franco Colapinto. He had a great stint in Williams as a stand-in driver for that part in the second half of the 2024 season. And then he was signed as Alpine's reserve driver ahead of the 2025 season, then promoted into the seat on a 5-race contract, apparently.
Yeah.
Allegedly. And he's now been struggling ever since. And now the rumour mill, it be turning.
Ooh.
That was the rumour mill turning.
Yes.
Listen,
got
can
that.
you listen really carefully? Do you hear
Nice.
it?
Yeah.
You have to really tune in.
It's a rusty sounding rumour mill for how many rumours there are currently.
Oh, good point. Okay, listen in.
That was a dolphin.
I can't do the bloody noise of rumour mill. There's one man, he's Finnish. He has a mullet and a moustache, and he normally sits in the Silver Arrows garage, looking on at the cars, wishing he could race one. Who is it?
Valtteri Bottas?
Valtteri Bottas! Yes! He apparently not only is a shoe-in for the Cadillac seat, he's being spoken about as maybe replacing Franco Colapinto for
Yes.
the next half of this season.
Apparently, Flavio Briatore has been having discussions with Toto Wolff about releasing him from his reserve driver duties so that he can go over to Alpine. And Toto, obviously not wanting to get in the way of Bottas being able to actually participate in a race.
Didn't want to gatekeep.
No, said yes, go for
Ooh.
it, take him.
I would have been surprised if he said no to that.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Um,
good practice for him in case he ends up in the Cadillac seat.
He's won a race 10 times in F1.
No, I know,
think
but
he needs
but
practice.
he has not raced in a while, so this is a good warm-up.
He's been
before
doing
he go-
sim races and stuff like that.
It's not the same.
He's quite a seasoned veteran of the sport,
Yeah, but
actually.
it's not the same.
You need to check your facts, actually.
I think what I'm saying is correct.
She's not wrong. Because of Colapinto's latest disappointing qualifying performance down in Silverstone, one hand sort of released off of his contract slightly there for Alpine, I'm
Yes.
imagining. He crashed in qualifying.
Yes, he
and
did.
we saw the pit wall for Alpine. We did see the back of Flavio Briatore, and he sort of face palmed
Yes.
at his little desk.
Yes, and there were some awkward faces on mechanics and engineers.
You know that the Netflix crew were like, we're skipping lunch, we need zoom-ins, we need slow-mos, we need music rights, we need everything. Apparently there was a bit of a boost as he was coming into the eve of the Silverstone Grand Prix because he was able to get himself a personal sponsor of the Latin American communications brand Claro. The branding of Claro is a long-term backer of former Red Bull, McLaren and Sauber driver Sergio Perez, and it will appear on Colapinto's crash helmet and cap going forward. Why does this matter? Because financial backing of a driver might keep you in your seat, because the money that you're getting means the team will get money because of the financial backings and sponsorships that the driver brings in. That is one of the reasons Sergio Perez was a very viable offer for Red Bull, was because he's obviously a Mexican driver and he has lots of Mexican sponsors and brings in loads of Latin American sponsorships as a result. However, Franco Colapinto said he's not very concerned that he would be replaced.
He should be.
I think so.
Yeah.
Especially maybe
Denial is a river, sir.
Yeah.
that is true. And also, this was before the British Grand Prix. So maybe he was thinking, like, I'm not concerned. They don't know what I've got in store for this race.
Not much.
Yes, but unfortunately he was stuck in second gear in the British Grand Prix, and I feel performance-wise he's been stuck in first gear since he's been in this new seat.
I think he's been stuck in park, personally.
Yeah, or reverse.
Well, I'm so glad that you recapped the incidents, because genuinely trying to keep up with the race today was a very, very hard job.
The only way I could recap the events of what happened there was by Googling it. There
Yeah.
was too much.
There was so much going on. There was like 10 different races happening at the same time.
It felt like there would be a green flag and things would be fine for like a lap, maybe a lap and a half, and then a safety car would come out again, and then the same pattern would keep happening, and out of nowhere you'll see like, you know, text on the screen saying this person is under investigation and this incident has happened here, and I'm like, I have no idea what was going on. Like the Ocon thing, that happened twice, and I thought they just repeated it accidentally. I didn't realize that was 2 instances.
Well, I think one person deserves a bit of a round of applause. Oliver Behrman,
Yes.
Yes.
for being the only rookie to complete this race.
Yes, and he was racing George Russell pretty hard to the line
Yes, he
for the
was.
final championship point. He didn't manage to do that, so he did finish his time in 11th. But it was similar to, if you remember, my God, far, far away over in Australia for the season opener this year. It was raining, it was changeable conditions, there was lots going on, there was lots of collisions and red flags and all this nonsense. And everybody said, like, this was not a race for a rookie. It's a very difficult thing, you know, difficult kind of race to start in. And Silverstone was no fucking different. This was exactly the same. How much there was going on. I mean, for the drivers, it must have been impossible to have figured out what was going on, lap to lap to lap. Because if you're watching it and you're seeing a broader spectrum of what's everyone's race stories, and we were confused, imagine what they must have been like.
Yeah. I wonder if his British roots helped him with that.
Maybe.
He's British?
Yes.
Oh, I did not know that.
He is. Ollie Behrman's quite a British name.
Oh, okay. Fair.
Oliver, consider yourself.
Ah, friend.
It's Oliver Twist.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice.
Got it.
Okay, so we're halfway through the season. This was race 12 out of 24. People have been promising that there's going to be a scrap between Lando and Oscar for God knows how many races. And there's been
Not
quite a few,
close.
there's been kind of a few times where people, I feel like the commentators are like, this is so, and you're sort of like, I'm not really seeing it. And I wouldn't say that today was like a sort of a dog fight between Lando
It was
and...
one-sided. From Lando, there was no bitterness because he was just, you know, racing and he was happy to be in leading the race. But then Piastri was the one saying to the engineers,
Little
we
sulky
should swap.
pants, yes.
Right, I'm with you. Okay.
So that's what I mean by
Yes.
one-sided.
But my point is that it wasn't really a straight fight between the pair of them.
Yeah.
Because the race was set up and it was Oscar and Max
Yes.
was the main story for the few laps that all lasted. Obviously, I thought the Max had a great start off the line. Oscar had a great start initially, but Max managed to keep that lead. Obviously, after we had the second safety car restart, if my life fucking depended on it, I don't know what the fucking safety car restart was for any of the things anymore. Don't fucking ask me. The first point to say is that you can't overtake the safety car. But you also can't overtake anyone ahead of you or behind you or anything. Just stay in your fucking place, and that's that. That's what we're meant to be doing. So when the safety car peels off to the pits, then the person leading that race becomes the de facto safety car, right? We all understand that.
Yeah.
The next thing is you can't brake test people. Why do you think? You just can't do it, okay? Sorry, I'm very passionate. It's my home Grand Prix. So when we watched Piastri go down the straight and then randomly braked hard, literally in the middle of the track, and Max had to go past it, it sort of caught it and it looked like Max had just randomly overtaken him.
Yeah.
And I was like, what was he doing there? But no, Piastri was being a bit...
naughty.
Yeah, he's being a bit naughty. I didn't really like it, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah.
He said it was poor timing that the safety car lights went off just as he did so, and that he'd done it previously and then hadn't got penalised. But I don't know, because afterwards they said that he reduced his speed by about 100 miles per hour.
So they're arguing that the safety car ending and the safety car going in was called really, really late and didn't give him enough time to back off. So he had to brake hard in order to build a gap between him and the safety car. That's their argument.
Right.
Is it valid? Probably not.
No.
And he got penalty for it.
I think if it wasn't malicious, then it was sloppiness. Because you don't
I think
see
that's
that,
all it was.
Yeah, you don't see that happening all the time. That's not like
And I
a
don't
routine
think Piastri is a malicious driver. I don't think
No.
he would deliberately brake test someone, and I don't think he would deliberately hit the brakes hoping that Max would go past and get a penalty. I think it was just a bit sloppy.
It
Yeah.
was. And I felt sorry for Max because he's trying to get his tyres warmed up. He's getting in the zone ready to, recharge off and go for it. And suddenly he's having to, anticipate what is this guy doing?
He dropped to, P10.
Well, yeah, it ruined his tyre temperatures, which
Yes.
then meant that on the restart, his tyres weren't hot enough, weren't
Yeah.
warm enough. And so he then hit the acceleration and then spun off, ended up dropping down to 9, and then 10,
Yeah.
and then 11,
Yeah.
and then had to try and crawl back.
Oh my god!
Oh, dearie
fuck.
me.
Oh, no.
Where's he ended up?
He's in
nine.
99.
Oh, fucking hell. I've never seen Max do that ever. Strolls in P3.
I
Oh
can't
my
not
god,
believe he's
Oscar's
doing
being
it on
noted for a
purpose.
safety car infringement, potentially. Fuck. He's in P10. Oh my god, he's sliding again.
Oh.
Fuck, he's in P10. He's in P11.
Yeah. Thing is, I agree with Piastri not having done it maliciously.
Yeah.
Because also that would have been very dangerous for him. Because
Yeah.
if Max were to crash into him, then his race would have been over as well.
And there was only 15 points between him and Norris. So
Yes.
if he was to
Yeah.
get out and Norris was then to lead the race,
Yes,
Norris
it
would
would have
then be
been-
leading the Drivers' Championship.
Yeah, it would have been a very stupid mistake. But thing is, whether he did it maliciously or not, he shouldn't have fought so hard about the penalty. I think he should have just accepted that he made a mistake and that he got a 10-second penalty rather than trying to convince the engineers to then swap him and Norris if they don't agree with it.
Yeah.
And then the entire, the podium afterwards, the entire time he just looked so bitter. And in the interviews he sounded so bitter. And it's like, your teammate just won at his home race.
Yeah, I guess from his point of view, though, he's been leading this championship since the beginning.
Yeah.
Well, not since Australia, but basically since the Chinese Grand Prix. He's been leading the championship. Last race out, he had a 15-point lead, and now he's only got an 8-point lead. He's seeing that lead shrink lower and lower and smaller. He felt that the penalty was unjustified. And when he had spoken to his engineer obviously said, we're going to push back against it and see if there's anything we can do because we don't think that it was justified either.
Yeah.
So from his point of view, he then tried saying over the radio, well, if you don't think that penalty was fair, can you swap our positions back around? He shouldn't have done that.
That's not fair to Lando.
because then it would be punishing Lando for a penalty that was given to him, even if unfair. You're then just passing the unfairness on to Lando now.
Yeah.
Not only that, it starts a really weird, murky area of the papaya rules going forward. So what if Max and Lando have got into a scrap in Spa, Lando didn't feel it was justified, so Oscar, you're in P1, give me the place, bitch.
Yeah.
That starts a really weird chain of events that's going to really skew the whole championship.
But for Lando, it's his home Grand Prix, the first time he's able to win Silverstone celebrate with him.
Yeah. I mean, Lando had a crash, what was it, in Canada.
Yeah.
And obviously that ruined his points in the championship because now he's still trying to catch up to Piastri because of that. And he owned up to it. He didn't seem bitter. He still cheered Piastri on. He still congratulated him. And he came into the next race with a strong head, and he made up for it as well. Like, Piastri has been known so far into the season to very much keep a very cool head.
Yeah, so true.
And just, not argue, just stay focused.
Yeah.
And I think today we saw him kind of break that mask a little bit.
Yeah, I think this was the first time we saw Piastri truly rattled by something.
Yes.
And I also think that for all that people say in the press about Lando, I mean, I've had my things to say about Lando, I can't lie.
Yeah, same.
I think there's been times where I think he's not very good at cutting out the noise of external factors when it comes to racing. When a result doesn't go his way, I think he sits with it and he lets it marinate into his body and his mind. And sometimes that can then affect the extremities of his racing performance. However, he's had some great bounce backs. And I think that this is testament to that. I don't think that Piastri's had a dip in performance. I just think that Lando's had an increase of performance.
Yeah, 2 wins in a row. That's going to be motivating him to keep going.
God, yeah, this is what I've said before. Like, momentum makes momentum. You either get bad momentum and that keeps carrying you on for bad momentum, or you can get good momentum and just keep moving forward with it. They've got a 2-week break now because then they're going to have 2 weeks and then we're going to go off into Belgium Grand Prix. But a very good headspace for Lando to be sitting in. Not the best for Piastri. I don't think he's as an emotional of a driver. It's not that I think he's devoid of emotion, doesn't feel emotion. I don't know well enough to start analysing him like that. However, I do
You're
think...
also not qualified.
I really am not. But I think that Piastri will be able to shake this off. Because if you remember, he did it in Australia.
Yeah.
He had his home Grand Prix and he binned it, basically.
Yeah.
He went wide and it was very sloppy. And he then went off this wonderful run of success. Lando's won 2 very significant Grand Prix by this point. He's won his home race. Everyone wants to win their home race. And everyone wants to win.
The championship.
No, that's not.
A race.
A race.
No!
Which race?
Everyone wants... What?
What other one is like the big race everyone wants to win?
We've already watched it this year.
Oh, we've already watched it. Monaco.
Yes! Well done.
Damn. That was
the
a random
surprise
guess.
on the face.
That was a random
Like a
guess.
kid at Christmas. Yes.
It's because it's also everyone's home races.
Yeah, legit.
Lando's
Lando's won both of his home races now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, everybody wants to win their home Grand Prix and everyone wants to win Monaco. Those are the 2 that you want to win.
Yeah.
And Lando's done that. Not only that, is it his home race, it's obviously the team's home race. And they had a very fancy chrome livery back to the sort of, early 2000s sort of look. I liked it too. I thought it was very, very swish.
Obviously done for their partnership with Google Chrome.
Yes, which makes sense. But do the whole thing.
I know.
Do the whole thing of it.
Fully
Maybe have
commit.
maybe have it chrome with a slightly orange sort of, oh my god, like what the fuck is his name? Edward Cullen from Twilight.
Oh.
You know when he stands into the light and he's made of diamonds. You could have it where it's chrome and it has an orange sort of sparkle in the light.
Ooh.
Okay.
Colour you papaya impressed.
Well, yeah, I was disappointed
Blanked.
to see. I'm just moving on from it.
Okay.
I was disappointed to see that Piastri wasn't celebrating on the podium with Lando as he should have been.
Obviously, the first thing he said, I'm not going to say too much. I'm going to get myself into trouble. Apparently, you can't brake behind the safety car anymore, but I did for 5 laps. I still like Silverstone, even if I don't like it today.
Oh.
So I was a bit like, that's a bit awkward. In contrast to that, Norris decided to swear.
Yeah,
Live on telly, he wasn't meant to do
yes.
that. He
Imagine
said,
he gets like a grid penalty fine. And then
Oh, it's a controlled zone.
Yeah.
oh shit, it's an FIA controlled zone.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Imagine like he wins this and then he gets a penalty for
He
it.
gets stripped of all his points.
I think it's just a fine, isn't it?
Oh yeah, that'll dent him. He's definitely not got many coins.
That's his tax for the year.
Yeah, legit. Norris, in contrast, was saying, the main thing is always, don't fuck it up. I was looking into the crowd and just taking it in. These are memories I'll keep forever. It's a long 52 laps. Thank you to all the British fans and shout out to my grandstands. I give all the credit to them.
Norris, in his interview, spent like a good chunk of that interview as well praising Piastri.
He did, yeah. However, you and me work at the same place. Theoretically, we don't, but that would be fun. Anyway, if I got a promotion and you didn't, I would be saying to my manager, oh, I'm really grateful. Reem is amazing. Reem works so hard, just not as hard as me. You would be saying
exactly
what you would be saying to your manager is,
didn't
why
know how
did that
to-
bitch Get that.
She called in sick last week.
Yes.
She wasn't.
I have receipts.
She said she was
watching
working from home from Friday. She was getting ready to go out with me. How about that? You see what I mean? When you're the one that's got the good thing, it's easier for you to praise the other person that didn't get the good thing.
Yeah.
If you're the one that didn't get the good thing, you want to hurt the person that got the good thing. Have I lost you with saying the good thing too much?
Yeah, maybe a little bit.
Okay, fine.
Since you mentioned, you know, the chrome with the orange livery, can we talk about someone else who had a bit of orange in their livery?
Sure.
Mercedes?
Yeah, but the arrows at the back were kind of a
Yes.
strange colour. I wasn't sure what that was about.
They were orange.
Were they or they red?
They're orange.
Were they?
They're orange. I'm telling you, they're orange.
You sure that wasn't just the dust of the
no,
rain?
No, they're orange.
What's the reason? What was the reason?
I can speculate.
Oh yeah, that's how you announce it. Change the livery of your car to the colour of the national colour of the driver you want driving for
Well,
you.
why not?
Because that's weird and shady and kind of stalkerish.
Well, why else have they done it orange?
You're going to find out why they've done it orange and it's not going to be this reason.
Yeah, give me a minute.
Why would it be for Max Verstappen? You've lost your actual head.
Because why not?
Also, if that was the reason, they wouldn't announce it. You're not going to find proof.
They're going to make George Russell drive a car that's basically devoted to the driver they really want to bag.
Apparently.
No, don't say you can't say apparently. This is the reason you found.
Apparently, it's to honour the brand's history, according to a Reddit thread. That's weak.
It's not for Max Verstappen.
I think what you're trying to say is a reach.
You didn't see, like, Ferrari putting, like, purple and yellow and a picture of Roscoe on their car when they wanted to try and court Lewis into a relationship with
No, but you saw
Ferrari.
Lewis coming into the races wearing more and more red.
That was iconic.
It was.
But it's not the same. However, as you are my best friend and I care about you deeply,
Thank
and I don't
you.
want the fans to come at you because we have fans nowadays, I will bring us onto a topic that has been bubbling away like a hot stew. Max to Mercedes, question mark?
Very likely.
The rumour mill has been going in... Oh, the rumour mill, fuck.
That's a completely different sound to what you were making last time.
What was it? Oh, yeah. No.
No,
Is that what I
you
did
were-
before?
Yeah, that is. It sounded like a dolphin. So yes.
Shit. All right. The rumour mill has gone into overdrive at Silverstone this weekend after a report in Italy that claimed that Max Verstappen has held concrete talks with Mercedes for the F1 2026 season. Can I get a... Thank you. Thank you. But here's what's actually happening behind the scenes, because despite the non-stop...
because you were there.
Yes, here, live at
Close
Max
personal
Verstappen's garage. Despite the non-stop speculation linking him to Mercedes, there's still a chance he could stay at Red Bull. George Russell, the driver that Max will most likely replace, revealed at last week's Austrian Grand Prix that talks to the reigning world champion to Mercedes are ongoing.
Ooh.
Sky Sports F1 commentator Martin Brundle said about George, he's doing a brilliant job of leading the Mercedes team. He's picked up the mantle from Lewis Hamilton very well. It must be super uncomfortable for him and a bit embarrassing that he's sitting there waiting and less stuff is going on behind the scenes. But if there is, why are they not saying so? So Max Verstappen hasn't managed to be able to shut down rumours linking him to a switch for Mercedes. And the timings of these rumours aren't coincidental either. They've intensified as Red Bull is facing their toughest season since 2022, with McLaren now breathing down their necks, and the RB21 proving inconsistent even in Max's hands. But here is the major kicker. Sources suggest that Verstappen actually told Christian Horner at Silverstone that he wants to finish his entire F1 career with Red Bull, which is pretty definitive.
Cap.
So why is he saying that publicly? It could just be negotiation tactics. With his contract running until 2028, Max knows he is the hottest property in F1, and keeping teams like Mercedes' interest gives him leverage for other teams and offers, which means more freedom for his racing ventures, image rights, and maybe even input on team decisions. But the Mercedes angle does make sense on paper. They've been a proven winner. The 2026 engine regulations could play to their strengths, and Toto Wolff admitted that there's very little probability of it happening, which in F1 speak means that they'd absolutely love to make it happen. Here's the reality check. Verstappen's at a team built entirely around him, with no real teammate threat, and despite his season struggles, they're still very competitive. The telling moment, after Max's brilliant Silverstone's pole, that pole position, by the way, was
golden.
fucking sensational. The purple sector, boom. That was incredible. He walked out with both his father, Jos, and Christian Horner, two men who haven't exactly been mates lately, all smiles and were chatting away. Sometimes the optics is all you need to know. But if he does go to Mercedes, it would have a knock-on effect for other seats, and it would leave Red Bull needing a replacement replacement for Verstappen, and home fans will get a look at a potential future star in the form of Arvid Lindblad. He is a Formula 2 title contender, and he made his FP1 debut this weekend, having been given a super license at the age of 17 following a request made for the FIA.
Oh, wow.
So, exactly, are they getting Arvid Lindblad ready for a potential opening if they do lose Max Verstappen and they have to do a reshuffle of their current drivers?
So they'd have Tsunoda and a rookie.
Potentially, yes. Or they'd have Tsunoda and Hadjar, and then they'd have Lawson and Lindblad.
Oh, interesting.
Hmm.
I don't know. I feel like the only reason Red Bull is performing well is because of Max.
Yeah.
I think they're fucked if they do that.
Oh,
Yes.
God.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the worst kept secret in F1, let's be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, I really like Yuki Tsunoda, but I liked Yuki Tsunoda's performances much better when he was in the sister team than where he is now.
He hasn't scored a point since Imola,
Yeah.
which was a grand total of 6 races ago. And even then, he scored 1 point.
For Austria, he basically took on the brunt of the responsibility on himself after that race.
Yeah.
They asked him what was going on, and he said, it's me. It's absolutely me. Which is kind of crazy because you think about how competitive these drivers are. Look at Piastri. Piastri is a very mild-mannered, kind-hearted guy. He seems very decent and loyal and nice. When it came to him getting a 10-second penalty, he turned into a little bit of a menace.
Yeah.
He was trying to get teams swapped.
Karen
whatever.
mode activated.
Exactly. But he's a nice, decent lad. They all nice people.
Yeah.
But when it comes to how competitive they are, they're not going to outrightly say it's me.
Yeah.
Why would they say me? No way. They'd say it's the car. So I don't think it is actually Tsunoda. Let's be real. It's the car. No, he's not optimizing the car that he has. But you heard Max today. Max was even saying this fucking car is so undrivable.
Yeah.
It's so slow. I
Yeah.
can't do this. I won't turn. Like, even through qualifying, he delivered that incredible lap. But there was multiple calls, he said, to GP saying how difficult
Max
the car is.
also tends to only make those comments when he's not in a top point scoring position.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they're exacerbated when it's not going his way and the car setup isn't there. But I'd argue that throughout this
Yeah.
year, we have heard multiple
I'm
frustrations.
just playing
and-
devil's avocado.
Fair enough. There's got to be an avocado somewhere. However, I do think that if it comes to Max leaving, you're right. The whole team is set around him. But as we've seen from this season, if you have another team that have 2 drivers that are both very talented and the team is more equal and balanced, this is the problem you're going to have. This has been a problem for many, 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 many years. And by scrutinising on, it's Tsunoda's crap, this person, it's exacerbating the issue. It doesn't matter. The thing is the car and the way the team is set up. But if Max goes to Mercedes, he's going to have a bit of a culture shock.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know really, because if he goes to Mercedes, realistically, George is going to be out and it'll be him and Kimi. Kimi's too junior to take charge of the team, so Max will be the number 1 driver.
Yep.
And frankly, Toto has shown his desperation to get Max. I'm
Yep.
sure he would also run the team exactly like how Horner is.
And also, I think a side of Max Verstappen that people don't really see, which is very much present, especially for drivers that are experienced up and down the grid, he's been incredibly supportive of Arvid Lindblad. Max has been able to give him some advice and some talking points and stuff like that. He's very good with the rookies. So as we saw after Kimi Antonelli unfortunately crashed Max out in Austria, Max initially jumped out the car and said, oh, fucking idiots. But then he realised it was Kimi, they had a chat, and he was like, mistakes. And that's that.
And he said that he's going to have to go and have a pasta with him. Maybe
Yes.
trying to bond with his new teammate.
Oh.
It won't be easy for Max culture-wise in that team, because a lot of those mechanics would have been working during 2021. That was a very fierce and bitter battle. It'd be a little bit awkward to go over that whole thing, which is why I've always said that I thought Aston Martin would have been the place that he would have gone.
But apparently, George is the one having chats with Aston Martin.
Oh.
Yes. So, because of all this drama, would you like to know the header of what I've written for this?
Yes.
Georgie Porgy to Aston Martin.
You had a lot of time on your hands.
I was tired. In recent weeks, reports have hinted at a growing relationship between Russell and Aston Martin, as his seat at Mercedes appears to be less than secure with each passing day. Mercedes team chief Toto Wolff has previously confirmed that he is in talks with Max Verstappen, but so far nothing concrete has really come to light. Given Aston Martin's investment going into 2026, it would come at no surprise to hear that Russell is interested. Both Fernando Alonso and Lance Stroll are currently contracted through 2026, and the team's ambitions are high, with team owner Lawrence Stroll focusing heavily on transforming the team into into a championship-winning outfit for the change in regulations. But speculation surrounding Russell is mounting. With him being one of the best drivers on the grid currently, most teams are probably keeping a close eye on how this story unfolds. Ahead of the British Grand Prix, though, Aston team principal Andy Cowell responded to questions over the speculation connecting George Russell and Aston Martin, and while he didn't specifically deny his interest in George, he emphasised an interest in stability going into 2026, implying that there's no room for the Mercedes driver currently. He basically said, "We're super fortunate, we've got this exciting run into 2026, and as Christian mentioned, changing the power unit, we're working with Honda on that, changing the aerodynamics, we've got Adrian working on that, we've got new facilities, but the stability that we've got in having Lance and Fernando signed up for next year means that they're not only helping us now develop the tools that we're going to use for 2027, 2026 and beyond, but they're working directly on the concept of the car." The problem that we've got, I actually agree with Martin Brundle. George Russell is obviously the lead driver in Mercedes.
Yeah.
He was brought into the team. They said, can you race up against a 7-time world champion winner? Can you get up to speed, try and pump in some performance and get us some good results? He said, bet. He did it. He didn't have the most, a race-winning car most of events. They said, try your best. He won some races. Bet. He's then managed to secure his place as the lead driver as Lewis has gone off to Ferrari. They said, listen, can you be the lead driver because we're bringing in a rookie? He said, bet. They came in 2025. They said, can you put in some good performances? He said, bet. And then he said, can I have a contract? And they said, what?
Yeah.
Can you just chill out? So they're like a bad girlfriend to him. What's going on?
I think Mercedes is really screwing up a good thing. He's doing very well on the track. There's going to be other teams that are going to be asking for him or trying to poach him. And if he keeps being treated in this way by Mercedes, then he's going to end up saying yes to another contract. Yeah. And Mercedes doesn't have any guarantee that Max will actually go to their team. And I think Max also has a lot of team loyalty. There's a very, very high chance he'll be sticking to Red Bull. Even if Red Bull has like shit car, maybe isn't as strong as some of the other ones, I think he'd still want to stay in Red Bull because he has a legacy there. So I think Mercedes should have just kept Russell, should have treated him better, because if Max Verstappen doesn't say yes, and by the time that he doesn't say yes, Russell has signed with another team, then who are they going to bring?
And it might make other drivers think, well, is everyone jumping off a sinking ship?
Yeah.
Yeah, very true. I mean, who would step into that Red Bull seat? Probably Hadjar if Max was to go, but it's not the strongest lineup. What they would have to hope for, I don't see George going to Red Bull. I don't think it would be a straight swap. I think that would be really strange. I just don't feel like that would really be the thing that Red Bull would be after. It throws the cats amongst the pigeons, as it were.
George and Cadillac.
They wish. I don't think they're getting George Russell for that. But I think the problem is that the rumours are swirling because George is trying to push this in the media to try and put pressure on Mercedes so that they sign the contract. But similarly, the rumours are continuing because obviously Max and Mercedes are probably talking, but George said that he's not talking to other teams. However, there's lots of speculation that he actually is.
I think he should.
I think you should too.
I think he should flip it around and put the pressure on Mercedes.
Yeah. So he's been saying, like, I've had the race win in Canada. I'm showing my worth here. I'm doing my best.
Yeah.
But then obviously now he hasn't had the best run of races the last couple. The Merc really hasn't been there. But when the Merc is there, so is George. So I think it should be sorted out. But if I'm honest with you, I'm not connected to this whatsoever in any way, shape or form. No one's asking for my opinion, and yet here I am with the microphone talking. So I'm going to say, Max, go to Mercedes. I want to see it. If we've been able to see Lewis Hamilton in Ferrari, bit of a damp squib, must be said. However, if we go and see Max in Mercedes, I would love to see how that goes out.
Shall we talk about Lewis Hamilton in Ferrari?
Let's talk about Ferrari, shall we?
Lewis Hamilton has ended his streak of finishing on the podium at the British Grand Prix.
Since 2014, he's managed that streak. And all he needed to do was go to Ferrari. And that was going to end.
Yeah. Who could have seen that coming?
Everyone. Bit of a scruffy race, wasn't it, for old Lulu? He qualified in P5.
Yep.
And he finished the race in P4. Now, a lot better than Charles Leclerc.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Charles Leclerc had...
thoughts and prayers.
Yeah. Obviously, the Ferrari boys were lining up on the same row of the grid. Lewis in 5th, Charles in 6th. Charles was saying after qualifying that he is so fucking stupid.
Shit.
Sorry. Shit. My bad. So sorry. And he was one of the early gunners to go off onto the slick tyres. Same as Russell. That did not pay dividends.
No,
he then
it did not.
Went off the track a couple of times, had some really messy overtakes that he managed to pull off, but just wasn't great. But for Lewis, he followed the similar trajectory of the other top runners around him. When he really came into the forefront was when he switched onto slick tyres. Mm-hmm. He got onto some softs, and he was then trying to get past Pierre Gasly and Lance Stroll and Nico Hülkenberg to try and get himself onto the podium. He managed to dispatch 2 of them. The last one remaining was Nico Hülkenberg, who's been in F1 for 15 years and has had 239 Grand Prix starts. No podium. It's always eluded him. And he just couldn't do it. Yeah. He was 7 seconds away at a few laps, but then he went wide, where quite a few of them were going wide, missed that opportunity, and couldn't quite bring it home to be able to get himself third for Ferrari, which would have been a massive coup. I don't think it was the worst drive of Lewis. I don't think it was vintage Hamilton Silverstone moments.
Especially in the wet. Lewis is usually, amazing.
He is very good in the wet, but today was just not his day. Yeah. But he also was complaining about his car, saying how difficult it was to drive, how snappy it was. You could see him fighting the car.
It also feels like Ferrari's kind of happy with bare minimum.
Yeah.
And they're not really willing to upgrade, not really willing to address the fact that their car really isn't that good. No, I know, but I mean, they're not having strong upgrades, and they're not really like acknowledging the fact that it's their issue.
I think they want to. I just don't think they know how.
Yeah, but I mean, after the race, there was a radio message from Lewis, and the engineer said, "That's a P4, mate. Good job out there, well managed." And Lewis's reply was, "Well, mate, that was pretty bad overall. So much opportunity today that was missed." To the engineers, they were like, "Yeah, great job, P4," and he was like, "Nope."
There's no critic out there that can be harsher on any of the drivers than themselves, and Lewis exemplifies that. Yes, exactly. Lewis exemplifies that a lot. Ferrari have got a bit of a weakness with the rear part of their car, and I think Lewis has taken a decent amount of time to get up to speed with it and is still sort of struggling with it. But they have brought an upgrade to the floor, which they saw last time out, and they were able to see that working a bit more. They were a lot closer in qualifying. But again, I said it last time out, and I'm saying it again, they're sort of still stuck in this weird sort of mid-top range where they're not really in the fight, and that, again, Max Verstappen, I miss you. Stop letting people muck you about, because again, I would have loved to have seen Max Verstappen in this race as much more than he was, because Max Verstappen, no matter what you think about him, he gets himself involved, he gets his elbows out and ready to rock and roll. But I just didn't feel like the Ferraris were really able to trigger a really strong strategy and had the car underneath them to really propel any strategy forwards. I think P4 for Lewis in a chaotic race with the engineers and pit walls of strategy with Ferrari was actually a pretty decent
But I think
result.
all we can see him do is move one position up. Yeah. Which is a shame, because he qualifies so shit anyway.
Yeah,
so
it's true.
Also,
qualifying is not his strongest position.
Isn't good enough.
Yeah, and also when we were watching the race, when he started gaining speed and we were thinking maybe he'll get to P3, we were saying, all he has to do is overtake Gasly, Stroll, and then Hülkenberg, which is Alpine, Aston Martin, and then kick Sauber, which should have been
girl. Go on, I'm actually well proud of you for that.
Which should have been easy for him, because they're all kind of like midfield teams, so it would have been easy for him to overtake them, and he struggled. It took him quite a few laps to even overtake Gasly, and then overtake Stroll, and then get to Hülkenberg, and he didn't even get past him. So like from afar, it looks like they're doing great. Ferrari, they're P2 in constructors, and
let's check that. Are they still P2 in constructors?
Yeah.
They are.
Well, Antonelli didn't score any points.
Oh, okay. Well, this is what I'm saying though.
But then neither did Leclerc.
Yeah, but we're saying it as though like, okay, they're P2 in constructors. Yeah, because Antonelli did. It should be. Yeah, they're P2 because they're sick, but it's not that answer.
No, they're P2 because they consistently have 2 drivers scoring points.
The team on the constructors that impresses me, even though they're P4, is Red Bull. Just because the fact that they're able to be P4 and it's all Max getting the points, that's very impressive.
Yeah, I mean, Yuki has only given Red Bull 7 points out of the 172 that they have.
That's insane.
Well, I've actually got some qualifying head-to-heads if you'd like to listen.
Go on.
So for Max Verstappen versus Liam Lawson, obviously Liam Lawson was only in for 2 races, Max 2-0. So 2 times out-qualified him. Sprint qualifying 1-0 to Max Verstappen. And then against Yuki, 10-0 to Max.
Oh.
So it's difficult. Okay, to out-qualify Max Verstappen is a pretty difficult task, especially your teammates.
I don't know, the McLarens do it most weeks.
No, I'm saying... They did it this week.
No.
But I'm saying in terms of teammates, that's a pretty big thing to be able to have done.
I'll give you that.
I mean, Yuki Tsunoda, without sounding too horrible, really is just the latest victim to Max Verstappen's brilliant performance, because this is seeing Max Verstappen at his best. And the thing is that it gets overshadowed because the McLarens are performing so well, but I guarantee you that we'll look back at the end of this season and say he really did that, bitch. Because if you look at Ferrari, they're gasping for air trying to get points here, but Max Verstappen, yes, he's their fourth, but that is all off of his own back. That is very impressive.
But how many times in the last 10 races that Yuki has actually been in the Red Bull has he actually qualified in the top 10?
Well, that is another question for another day, because that's very true. But this is what I'm saying, is that, like, the car is set up around Max, so it's not up to Max to set up that. He can't make the car. He just gives feedback. Because he's so great, they carry on listening to it, and that makes sense. And he's very loyal to the team are very loyal to him. But neither here nor there. Shall we talk about it, girls?
Yes.
Nico Hülkenberg.
Nico Hülkenberg! Driver of the day.
Well deserved.
Yeah, what an absolutely fantastic drive that was. You know, we talked about it, the fact that Ollie Behrman was the only rookie that was able to stay in that race. When it comes to chaotic races, changing conditions, safety car restart, stop, start, everything going on, crossover periods where you have a drying track and you want to go onto slicks, stay on inters, all this big decisions you have to decide. What you need sometimes is a cool head, good driving, good pace, experience. That's what you need. Feel for the track and pushing the limits without going over those limits. Nico Hülkenberg nailed it.
Yes.
Absolutely fucking nailed it. And if you remember, we're coming off the back of calling Gabby the Great. So what a fantastic 2 races that Kick Sauber have had.
Yes.
Propelled them up the order.
Yes,
and
they've gone from 9th to 6th in the Constructors.
You know what Cash is?
King.
What is Nico Hülkenberg? King! There we go. The thing is that was actually done genuinely on merit.
Yeah.
Like, that was done not because it was like, 14 people have crashed and here we are. That was genuinely, he fought off a fucking Ferrari.
Yeah, I mean, from 19th to 3rd is insane.
And there's a very, very, very cute video online of him on the podium on TV and his daughter like jumping up and down at home watching it.
That's
so
wholesome.
Cute.
It was so
cute.
wholesome seeing him win that podium.
Everyone was happier for him than they were for Lando.
Yeah,
but I feel it too.
Yeah,
I'm very happy that Lando won. Brit winning the British Grand Prix.
Yeah.
Couldn't ask for anything more. But to go from 239 Grand Prix starts never on the podium to getting that podium, that's got to feel amazing.
Yeah.
Think about how many people he would have congratulated on wins and podiums throughout his time. How many teammates and people he would have seen go on and done
and
that.
now he gets to feel
and
it
he gets
himself.
to feel it.
When they were on the podium and they were spraying champagne and everything, I think the camera was mostly on him.
Yeah.
Because everyone was just so happy for him and the commentators were just rooting for him. And it was just very emotional. I think it was a very emotional race overall. I think even Lando's finish was like, although he's won multiple times, him winning at his home race for the first time, that was also very emotional. I think it was just very, very nice, very wholesome.
Another
to watch.
sweet thing was that Nico Hülkenberg didn't know the procedure for when he was going to the cool-down room, so he left his helmet downstairs. And so Lando Norris had to bring his helmet up into the cool-down room and put it on the little headstand thing for him.
Cute.
I don't want to take anything away from the drivers or the pit wall or the aerodynamicists, all the people that would have made that work, because, teamwork makes the dream work, obviously. Yeah. However, I do have a very sneaking suspicion that Jonathan Wheatley has something to do behind this wonderful stuff that's happening, because Red Bull have an incredibly competitive culture. They really are cutting edge at the top. They have been, in recent times, the team to beat. And obviously Jonathan Wheatley was sitting at the end of the pit wall with Red Bull, normally sitting next to Adrian Newey or Christian Horner most of the time, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And was always looking very studied, very serious, very in the zone, and obviously learned a lot. What he didn't know about the rulebook, there literally is no point learning about. So going over to Kick Sauber is a bit of a questionable move, really. But I thought I saw it more of a move that James Vowles did to Mercedes, where James Vowles was kind of like, well, I can't take my boss's job, so I guess I'll take his job, but in a different team. I felt maybe the same might be happening with Jonathan Wheatley. But very precise, and Nico Hülkenberg even said at the end of the race, he said all the strategy calls were bang on, all of the decisions we made were bang on, the communication was bang on, it was just bang on. Like, that was, I'm paraphrasing, but you get the point. I think that comes down to the precision and the culture that Jonathan Wheatley is clearly fostering over at that team. Yeah. And I think that has played a huge part into the fact they've had 2 race weekends.
Everyone knows that you can't just win a race by just driving, right? The strategy and all the calls and all of the background decisions play a huge role in that. I mean, Lando won this year at Silverstone, but last year his race was lost because of a poor tyre call.
Yep, very true.
So it's everyone, the entire team have come together to get him that podium, which is just amazing to see. And I mean, Kik Sauber are doing brilliantly. They have consistently scored points for the last 4 races.
Damn.
Wow. You know what as well, because they came into the season and we did a drivers and teams episode each when we first started this thing. Now we're seasoned queens in the podcasting game. But we weren't very kind, it must be said. And that's a lesson for us.
I didn't know who they were.
Exactly.
No, you didn't.
The Nickelodeon slime green car, with not much performance, there was a lot of punchlines there. Yeah. There was quite a few punchlines. However, put some respect on their name, because that is a fantastic bounce back. My question though is, where is Alpine in all of this? Because they were plumb last time we spoke about this.
Yeah, they're still there.
How many points are they on?
19.
Yeah, they've gone up in points.
Because Gasly finished 6th today. Yeah. So I was wondering if that might have slung-shot them up the order.
Well, yeah, they went from 11 to 19, so they've gone from last to last. They are 10 points behind 9th position Haas.
Okay. I kind of thought maybe that would have slung-shot them a little bit higher up. But, okay, fine. I mean, Kik Sauber, they're not going to be Kik Sauber next year. They're going to be Audi. At the start of the season, because they know they're going to be transitioning into Audi, the ethos they were going into was they weren't going to be putting too much emphasis into this car because they're going to be changing the whole team. And
it was kind of just a let's get through the season, try and do what we can.
Exactly. So I thought they were kind of resigning themselves to being at the back of the grid, and that's kind of where they're going to be. Valtteri Bottas must be well vexed, because he's like, what the fuck? We had some of the slowest pit stops, stuff was really unorganised, we didn't have much pace, and now suddenly I'm out of the car and it gets better. That's not great for my CV, is it? However, I just love it. I think it's a great storyline for Formula One. Yeah. I think it's a really cool storyline.
Just to give Alpine a little bit of slack, all of their points have come from Pierre Gasly, obviously.
Yeah, that's true.
They are, in this champion fight one-handed.
Yeah, was a similar situation to Red Bull then.
Yeah. Yeah. But obviously Red Bull are a lot higher.
Well, yeah, exactly, yeah.
I mean, I want to sing my praises for not just like Hülkenberg, because obviously his performance was amazing, but also just Gasly as well and Stroll. They all just did very, very well, and they don't get that much attention.
No, it's true. They sort of get lost in the mix of everything.
But they were very entertaining to watch today.
Yeah. They really were. Do you remember that point in the season when Fernando Alonso had no points and you were saying, what's the point of him?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, Fernando Alonso reached Q3 for the 5th time in the last 6 Grand Prix.
Damn.
Yeah. So you should put some respect on his name, actually.
Yeah, well, I stand corrected.
Should we talk about the fact that Lance Stroll was someone that went onto the soft tyre? Before they were calling early part of the race, it was a drying track, everyone was on intermediate tyres, and then they were saying that there was going to be, in the next 10 minutes or so, there was going to be rain, and Aston Martin decided to bring in Lance Stroll for a set of soft tyres. And
what a move.
All 3 of us and the commentators and everyone in the UK and around the world were like, idiots.
The fuck?
What? The fuck? You guys even, you know nothing about the sport. What? And then maybe 4 laps later, everyone was like, go Stroll. Now that's a great move. That, masterclass. Which tells you how everything changes so quickly in Formula One. But I thought that was a fantastic bit of strategy.
Yeah.
Who didn't think that was a bit of fantastic strategy? Surely no one.
Well, Alonso, because it didn't get moved onto his car.
Yes, exactly that. He was a bit salty.
He was very salty. He said something on the radio along the lines of,
it's never me.
Yeah, basically. Basically.
Oh, was the bridesmaid never the bride?
All
word
perfect
for word
quotes.
quote.
Yeah, quote.
Oh. Crazy how you never get it right with me.
Damn.
Yikes.
Yeah, he basically said, you guys always seem to do well in the wet, just not with me.
Yeah.
It was very non-Alonso sort of radio message, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
But the fucking awareness of the geezer to be able to go 200 miles per hour in a very chaotic race and he's still looking at the screens being like, bitch.
He always does that.
He always does. But, I mean, like...
He's watching the race more than he's driving it.
I mean...
Maybe that's why he doesn't get picked.
I thought there was loads of storylines within this race, but yeah, Stroll, an absolute stonker, being able to go on soft tyres and go for it. It paid off. He finished in P7 today, which is fantastic. Long live Aston Martin.
Yes.
Their reign will be long and victorious.
And maybe next year, amazing with Adrian Newey.
Yes. And maybe George.
Also, Alonso shouldn't sulk so much. He still managed to get points.
Yeah.
It's not like he was, left in the dust.
Yeah, true.
But he is behind Stroll in the Drivers' Championship, which no one ever saw coming.
No, but I mean, fair fucks to Stroll, because no one did expect that. But Alonso wasn't delivering points, and Stroll was there giving it a good go. And even today, yes, Alonso got points, but Stroll got more.
Yeah, and Alonso had a run of 8 races without points.
Yeah.
So, should we move on to Williams?
Ooh. Yeah.
Because what's going on with them?
So, if you remember, for Williams, their first outing in 2025, Sainz got a torque spike and he crashed. Alex Albon, the little F1 driver that could, was able to get P5. Yeah. And it was an absolute huge boost. Going on from there, they were able to get 7 points in China, 2 points in Japan, and they've had 14 points in Imola.
That was a good race for them.
It was a brilliant race for them. Yeah. But since then, it hasn't been great. It has slowed down. They got 4 points today, as Albon came in 8th. Sainz was outside of the points in 12th. But before that, Austria, they had a double DNF. That was painful to watch. I'm sure we had to console you for days.
I was crying.
Yeah. You called in sick to work and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, what a loss. Anyway, I can't tell if it's the development race that's catching them out, where other teams are bringing upgrades. Because, I mean, McLaren, Red Bull, Mercedes, Ferrari, they're all bringing upgrades. And even Sauber were bringing upgrades as well. So up and down the grid, people are bringing upgrades. Is it maybe that their upgrades aren't working? Strategy? Something's off.
Yeah, I mean, they are cemented in that midfield position, obviously being P5 in the Constructors' Championship. They are 113 points behind Red Bull, who are in P4. But Sauber and Gabby the Great and Nico Hülkenberg and their wonderful performances over the last 2 races, they are now only 18 points behind. So they could be catching up and taking that P5 spot away from them before Williams even know what's happened.
I mean, it sounds crazy because it's it's Williams, it's a Sauber. But I mean, today proves that you really don't know what's going to happen in F1 until it happens. So Hülkenberg getting a podium, they only need to carry a few more brilliant performances like that with a mixed up grid and maybe a wet race or whatever. And that could very legitimately happen. 18 points across 12 races is very decent and very feasible. Yeah. So watch this space. However, James Vowles had to dash off quick at the end of the race, didn't he?
Yeah.
Having a baby in that.
Yeah. Oh. So by the time you listen to this, he might be a dad again.
Nice.
Well, he never stopped being a dad.
No, I hope not. That'd be pretty fucking gutting. What an earth-shattering story we're bringing up here.
Right, with that, shall we move on to the final talking point, which is off the racetrack?
Ooh.
A little bit of politics.
Oh.
Former leading F1 steward Tim Mayer has announced that he is going to challenge Mohammed Ben Sulayem for the presidency of the FIA in December's election.
Oh.
Tim is a long-time official in US motorsport and the son of McLaren co-founder Teddy, and he made his announcement just a few days ago. So, being sacked in November 2024, following a dispute between the FIA and the United States Grand Prix organisers, Tim claimed in November 2024 that his departure from his long-standing role in the FIA stewards was due to his involvement in a hearing into a fine for the United States Grand Prix promoter following a track invasion. Mayer said that Ben Sulayem felt that some of the right to review documentation presented a personal attack on him. So what do you do when someone writes a review that personally attacks you? You fucking fire them, right? Yeah. That's what you do. That's just
along with several other people.
Exactly. That's the global understanding. That's how you treat people. Having been stood down, Mayer claimed his dismissal came because Ben Sulayem had taken offence at the appeal document filed by the USGP organisers. In addition to his former role as an FIA steward, Mayer is also the sporting organiser for 3 Grand Prix held in the United States. So, Daddy Sainz announced that he will not run against Mohammed Ben Sulayem for the FIA presidency. The 2-time World Rally Championship champion had been considering putting his hat into the ring to contest Ben Sulayem in the election, but has now confirmed he will not be a candidate. Last week, Daddy Sainz announced to the world that he would not run for the FIA president's role, having initially signalled his intention to stand in May. Daddy Sainz pointed to present circumstances not suiting a run against Ben Sulayem and the Spaniard who highlighted his ongoing Dakar commitments.
Bribed.
Oh. By who?
I don't know.
So in order to run for FIA president, you have to have, like, significant backing.
Okay.
Like, you can't just say, I'm going to run and hope that people support you. You have to go into it with already established supporters.
Similar to how they do it with prime ministers. They have to have a cabinet, minister of this, minister of that. They have to have that already set up.
So I wonder if perhaps he didn't actually have that many supporters. However, Tim Mayer, being, a senior figure, a steward who was sacked along with other stewards. I mean, I think there were 4 in the space of 18 months that all got sacked by Mohammed Ben Sulayem. Wow. He's going to have support from essentially people who Mohammed Ben Sulayem has pissed off.
Yeah. So is it a voting thing once they have that backing and they're running?
I believe so, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
But there's a weird part of it where Mohammed Ben Sulayem is actually kind of able to decide who is able to run against him.
He's allowed to veto, right?
Yeah. So whether he'll let the guy he sacked run against him.
It's like 15 candidates. It's one.
Yeah.
Like, make it exciting.
Well, I don't think he wants any competition.
I know, but make it exciting. Like, come on, you're in racing, for fuck's sake. Like, a one-man race isn't very fun, is it?
Yeah.
Anyway, Tim Mayer has criticised Mohammed Ben Sulayem for not sticking to his election manifesto, and Tim has said his own bid was completely separate to that and their discussions had not been connected to Daddy Science's earlier consideration. So, the December 2025 FIA presidential election will now see Mohammed Ben Sulayem facing a direct challenger from Tim Mayer, whose dismissal from his stewardship role has clearly motivated his campaign to unseat the current president.
Damn, that's kind of the best kind of revenge.
Imagine you're going up against the guy that took your job to try and take his fucking job.
I'm all for it.
Same!
Yeah.
I just want the drama. And if they could have...
the drama, Mick. I love it.
And I mean, if they can have, they've got Drive to Survive, they've got F1 Academy. I want to see FIA to survive. That's what I want to watch. I would like a 7-part series, all half an hour, where they have slow-mo, high-mo, dramatic music, cuts and montages, where they talk about how Mohammed Ben Sulayem gets kicked out of a seat of a guy that he kicked out of his seat. Thank you so much.
Should we make that a documentary?
With that exact pitch, take that audio right now and make it.
The elections are in December.
Yes.
When do they announce it?
Well, we don't know for sure, but I'm assuming that they will do the election in December so that the new president is in role for January, because obviously then it will be the new championship. So you wouldn't want, the president sort of changing hands while a championship is ongoing. So I would assume by January we'll have a new president.
Okay.
Or a remaining one.
If it's a remaining one, then we're going to have 4 years of Mohammed Ben Sulayem still with his grip tightly onto the sport.
Come on, Tim Mayer.
Come on, Tim Mayer. Honestly, I think it's good to just mix things up and have a different
I'm not saying that Mohammed Ben Sulayem hasn't been great for the sport. He has done wonderful things. He's grown it to a point where even us 3 fuckers think we can get on a podcast and talk about it.
So true.
But I think he's also done a lot of things wrong.
He's like Bernie Ecclestone.
Yeah, he's exactly like him.
Sure.
He did some great things and he's also done some dodgy things.
A polarising character.
Yes. So I would just like a change.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, it's not personal, although some of the things I really don't agree with the stuff that he's done.
Yeah, some of the things are personal.
You can't just fire people and just eliminate them out of your sight because you're like, that doesn't help me or serve
You've offended me, goodbye.
Exactly, because if everyone did that in life, no one would ever have a job and the economy would crumble and it'd be crazy. So I don't agree with that side of things. However, I also think it's just good to have a different person taking charge of this because it's...
Mix it up.
Exactly. I mean, you don't want to be like fucking Ferrari where they're just constantly revolving door of fucking management, but you do want to have people that have a different perspective to be able to shed light. And what I really want is to have a president that is happy to have an open line of communication between the drivers and the FIA. Have more transparency, have it be more collaborative. You're on the same side.
Yeah.
How can you travel around the fucking world all the time and you're the manager of everything and you're not going to talk? It doesn't make any sense.
And with that, shall we move on to Reams recap?
Reams recap.
10-second penalty for Oscar Piastri.
Oscar Piastri makes a great start to the British Grand Prix, leading the race after overtaking Max Verstappen in lap 8, but a rookie mistake cost him that first place and it ended up going to his teammate Lando Norris, and he ended up being very much bitter about the whole situation, but I think that he could do better.
Okay.
Very nice. Max Verstappen has a bit of a hooner at the British Grand Prix.
Max Verstappen tried his hardest at the British Grand Prix and was seemingly doing very well, except the mistake by Piastri ended up costing him multiple places and he ended up finishing in 5th place when he could have been finishing very much in the podium. So it wasn't his fault. It was Piastri's fault. It was the wet race's fault. But I hope that the next race we can see him compete as Max Verstappen, the proper Max Verstappen.
Every rookie retires except from Oliver Behrman.
Oliver Behrman has an incredible race at the British Grand Prix. Starting off in qualifying with a 10 grid penalty, he still managed to make it to P18 because he qualified in 8th, and then he ended up in P11 at the race, where many people would have given up. He gave it his all, and he actually did very, very well.
Nico Hülkenberg got himself a motherfucking podium after 15 years and 239 race starts of trying.
Nico Hülkenberg.
Well
done. Atta girl.
Thank you. Nico
Oh, wow. Keep that in. Keep that in.
So, Nico. Oh my god! I can't say his name. Now I've put too much pizzazz in his name, but now I can't say his name properly. Nico Hülkenberg.
I say Hülkenberg, it's Hülkenberg. Nico
Hülkenberg has an amazing race at the British Grand Prix, getting his first ever podium in 15 years. He took that Nickelodeon slime green car and turned it and made it into something amazing and something that people cheered for, and he got driver of the day, and he very much deserved it. Very, very well done.
What's that? Stroll was in 3rd position at some point.
Also, all the midfield teams did an incredible job at the British Grand Prix, including Lance Stroll and the Aston Martin, where everyone thought that he would have been doing a very stupid mistake going on soft tyres. He actually built up a lot of pace. He ended up in 3rd at one point. Yes, he dropped down towards the end and he finished in 7th, but still a very, very good race for Lance Stroll.
Leclerc has a stinker and Hamilton has a meh.
Ferrari engineers, once again, need to get their shit together, need to get the car together. It's not Lewis's fault, it's not Charles' fault, despite him saying on the radio that he is fucking shit. I think that they're both trying their best, but the car is just not there.
Lando Norris wins at home for the first time ever.
Lando Norris, again, puts on an incredible performance for the 2nd time in a row, wins a race, and he wins against his teammate, Oscar Piastri, and it's his home race, which made it even more emotional, and he seemed very, very proud and very happy, and I think despite Piastri being bitter, I think he should be celebrated.
Last one, silly season is approaching and drivers are playing musical chairs.
I'm just here for the drama. I want to see if where George is going to end up, where Max is going to end up, where some of the rookies might end up. I don't want Hadjar to go to Red Bull.
She just needed to get that off her chest.
Yes, I've been thinking about it for a while. I think actually it might damage his reputation, because I mean, look at like Tsunoda. We think that he's kind of a shit driver now, but actually maybe Tsunoda's not that bad. It's just the Red Bull car. So, oh, my ears started ringing.
Keep that in.
It's Hadjar telling me to stop talking.
He's just cursed you.
Yes, but I think him moving to Red Bull will be damaging to his reputation. But very exciting to see where everyone's going to end up. It's just going to keep changing things up, even though I think the season's a bit chaotic already. So maybe they need to kind of calm down for the next season.
Oh.
The most amazing update and recap you've done this year.
Yeah,
why are you holding your ear?
It's still ringing.
Okay, great.
Right, shall we move on to the Grand Prix Podium?
Yes.
Fuck yeah.
Are we all rearing to go for our prick?
Oh. Yes,
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah. I'm looking in your eyes and I think I can see the same colour in all. Don't try and change it so you're different.
She's going to do that. She always does that.
Right, 3, 2, 1.
Oscar
Piastri.
I knew you were going to try and say someone different. Your heart's not in it, is it?
Yeah, it is.
No, it's not. You want to say Oscar Piastri. Go on, you say why Leclerc. Lie to us. Lie to your girls. Go on.
Girlies, I'm going to lie to you. I think Charles Leclerc said he was fucking shit on Saturday, and Charles Leclerc was fucking shit on Sunday. So he tried to be clever. Him and Russell thought that they could be the main characters of this race and decided to pit early onto their slick tyres. It did not work. They didn't generate enough. Are you yawning whilst I'm talking?
Sorry, I get tired of bullshit.
Whoa!
I think you're also coming off as a bit of a hypocrite.
Oh, what's that? Achoo! I'm sorry. I'm allergic to bitchiness.
Because you called out Ferrari as well for their shit decision making.
Okay, fine. It's Oscar Piastri.
So you know it's Oscar Piastri.
It's Oscar Piastri.
Reem, why don't you explain to us why it's Oscar Piastri?
I mean, Oscar Piastri started off so well. I mean, he overtook Max Verstappen in lap 8, and he could have won the race. He could have easily won this race. But the stupid mistake that he did, where he braked his car under the safety car, and almost caused a crash between him and Max Verstappen. I think it was just stupid. I think if he had a better response to it afterwards, where he just kind of accepted that this was my fault, I deserved a 10-second penalty, Lando Norris deserved to win, I'm very proud of him, I would have not said that he's the prick. I would have said, like...
I wouldn't have thought he was a prick if he had been gracious on the podium, celebrated Lando, I mean, like, even in his post-race interview, he didn't acknowledge Lando's win, he just said, oh, I'm just happy for Hülkenberg.
Yeah.
But, like, what about your teammate?
I hear it. I think the only thing is that, like, his race was run and done with that brake test.
0.
Yeah, that was it. That was that. And obviously then he did serve the penalty and then was, he just wasn't able to get back to his fighting form. And also, it wasn't just that he wasn't able to get back to his fighting form. Norris was just on it.
Yeah.
That Norris wanted to win that race. You could tell from the energy he was bringing to that race. He wanted to win it, and he did it. So good to him. I actually felt really sorry for Max Verstappen in that race. He ended up 5th. It completely ruined his race.
Yeah.
And he's now had that happen twice for external factors not, it was all like, oh, Max is going to crash into people for his race bad. And now he's been super duper careful. Everyone's just fucking him over. I'm like, what the hell? Yeah, fair enough. Fine.
Okay, are we ready with Grand?
Yes. I might do a different one for this one.
I'm going a bit rogue.
Oh, I'm going rogue.
Okay.
Oh no, if you all go rogue, maybe the real Grand will get it.
Are we ready to say our Grands?
Hell yeah.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Lewis Hamilton.
Verstappen.
Oh.
What the fuck?
I said Lewis Hamilton.
What'd you
Reem said
say?
Max
Lance Stroll.
Verstappen, and you said Lance Stroll.
Yeah.
Oh, we all went rogue.
Who wants to argue their case first?
Okay, so the right answer is Lance Stroll.
Um,
Let's just get that
Subjective.
sorted. Because Lance Stroll finished this race in P7 and he's had surgery on it. He was back into the race. People were questioning, myself included, I literally added it into an intro we did, about whether his career had been run and done. And yet the redemption arc has started. Clearly, he's been able to make a few gains with that new wrist of his, because my God, that is a brilliant drive from Lance Stroll. Yes, he's a Nepo baby. Yes, his dad owns the team. Yes, he hasn't really seen much struggle or strife in life. I'll tell you what, though, this weekend did absolutely fantastically. This Aston Martin ain't that fucking quick, let's be honest. But Lance Stroll, he done good.
Okay.
I can see your point.
Thank you. He made it exciting.
Yeah.
Reem, you go for yours.
So Max Verstappen, although he ended up in P5 because of what happened with Piastri, he qualified really well. I mean, he qualified in pole, and it was an incredible pole.
It was.
And he was doing very well at the start of the race as well. Yes, Piastri overtook him in lap 8, but he was still very much close behind him throughout. And it seemed like if he was still staying in that position, I think within a few laps he would have overtaken Piastri again, or at least gotten very close. And he would have probably ended up in P2 if it wasn't for him spinning. And I think, yes, he had bad luck today, as he did last week. He still had a very good race, and I think he would have done better if it wasn't for unfortunate circumstances. So I think he deserves Grand.
Okay,
fair enough.
And I said Lewis Hamilton because I thought that even though he started 5th and finished in 4th, he did very well to, manage the track conditions very well. He was getting racy at the start with Lando Norris, and he managed to overtake Pierre Gasly after Russell, who arguably is in a better car, was struggling for ages.
I mean, Lewis struggled for ages to overtake Gasly.
No, he didn't. Not for that long.
I think it took quite a while.
He didn't. I mean, he did that very nice double overtake, which was pretty cool to see.
Yes, the
it must
double
be said.
overtake
That was very
great
cool.
as well.
I think
he did the best with what he was given.
I agree, but I think that the car stopped him. I think that the Ferrari seemed very sluggish and heavy and a bit slow when they're on full fuel, which is when he needed to do the most of his attacking.
But if we think about when you're in these wet track conditions and stuff like that, the tyre calls all come down to the driver, basically, because the teams, the pit wall, the engineers, they don't know what it actually feels like on track. if they had it their way, they probably would have said to him at the same time as Leclerc, oh, Leclerc's pitting, you come in as well, change your boots, come on. And he probably would have been like, no, doesn't feel right, I'm going to stay out. And as a result, he managed to get himself 4th, whereas Charles finished outside of the points because of that dodgy call with the tyres.
Yeah, I can see it.
So I think
But it's
he managed the race as best as he could in his
But
circumstances.
then you expect a P4 from Lewis Hamilton. You expect that.
Not in a Ferrari.
Do you expect...
Not in a Ferrari, you don't.
Well, no, but I mean, they finished decently last race as well. And do you expect a P7 from Lance Stroll in Aston? No.
Yeah.
So I think in terms of like a good day in the office, I think that Lance Stroll should be like boing, 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 because he's so happy.
Counterpoint to Lance Stroll, he might have only had surgery to his wrist because he got so angry and punched it in the garage.
I'm not defending anyone's character here.
Should we be praising that?
It's called it's called passion.
Should we be rewarding
It's called
aggression?
Acute passion. It's called acute passion. I never say cute passion. It's acute passion. So I think that we let Lance Stroll have that. What?
I was going to say, I agree with you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
In that case, please interject.
I think Lewis did very great, but he didn't do his best. It wasn't an amazing performance from Lewis. So, yeah, I would sacrifice my choice for Max.
Thank you.
To go for Lance Stroll. Sorry, Nev.
Fine, okay, so Lance Stroll is our grand, that's fine.
Shall we do Grand Prick?
Yes.
Okay. Are we ready for Grand Prick, ladies?
Yes.
3, 2, 1. Lando
Nico
Norris!
Hülkenberg! Shut the fuck up!
That's very rude. How dare you? We're meant to be best friends.
Why? Why Lando Norris over Nico Hülkenberg? Go on.
I'm sorry. Ding, 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 ding. He won. How about that?
That's
He's
obvious.
in a tight championship fight
That's a
against a
boring
teammate
answer.
from Australia. I'm just giving facts.
Yeah, that's a boring answer. He's a Grand Prix because he won. When do we ever award Grand Prix to someone who's actually won?
Today. We changed today. He had grandstands of people in fluorescent yellow going to go and see him in a newly upgraded chrome livery. The car looked Lengersbrev, and he wasn't able to put it on pole. He was frustrated by that. He had the beautiful Dutchman Red Bull car and Max Verstappen charging past him quick, and he wasn't able to make it up. But then on Sunday, he obviously had his porridge oats and Biscoff on top because he was racing like a man possessed. He was not going to let anything stop him from winning that race. And you know what? Yes, he may have had a helping hand from Piastri driving crazy. Yes, maybe Max Verstappen spinning may have helped. Yes, maybe the massive gap they had because they have such supreme quality and speed in their car helped. Yes, but he won it.
You've just given all the reasons why it shouldn't be him.
How dare you? What? What do you want?
Look me in the eyes.
I'm looking you in the eyes.
Answer me seriously.
Okay.
In your heart of hearts.
Yes.
Do you actually believe Lando Norris deserves Grand Prix over Nico Hülkenberg?
Okay, so Hülkenberg is Grand Prix.
Yes!
Thank you.
For the second time!
Yes.
Well, I'm sorry, but he's iconic.
He
Third
is.
time we've had Sauber as a Grand Prix in a row.
2 Saubers in a row.
Damn.
How about that?
They're really doing it.
I know.
Yeah.
They are very lucky because they are performing as good as this podcast. Well done to them.
Right, that is it for the British Grand Prix and our Grand Prix podium. We have awarded Oscar Piastri the title of Prick, Lance Stroll the title of Grand, and Nico Hülkenberg is our Grand Prick. That's all we've got time for today. We will be back with you in your ears next week for another deep dive episode.
Deep dive, deep dive, deep dive.
And are we going to spoil what it is?
No. Do you know why?
Why?
We're not entirely sure. Sorry.
Make sure you follow us on our socials because we will be announcing what the next deep dive is on there very, very, very soon.
We also have some interactive stuff on our socials, such as choosing which energy drink won last week.
Move on,
And the one that
move
won,
on.
just to let everyone know, according to our fans, was Dutch Please.
Thank you so much to everyone that voted for LN Love Potion.
You.
Shut up.
No, it's okay because my own sister didn't vote for my
She
drink.
voted for me. Thank you so much.
She's not getting a Christmas present this
No.
year, is she? Okay, fine. Yeah, Dutch Please won.
Yes.
But you know what? Maybe the next race we have, which is in Belgium, I'll make us all do another intro where we all have to go head to head and I will win.
I will win.
No, I will win.
I will win.
There's only one winner and I'm going to win.
I'm quietly confident in
Oh,
myself.
no. She's going to win.
It's going to be like Belgian waffles and you're going to put nicotine in it.
Where there's a will, there's a way. Well, as Reem said, make sure you follow us on our socials for all of the interactive bits and also just our wicked graphics and videos and shit. We are available on Instagram, TikTok, X, and YouTube. And if you like our podcast, which you obviously do, share it with a friend, leave a review, like, subscribe, rate us highly.
Also, we're storming very closely to world domination because we're nearly at 2,000 followers on Instagram.
Damn.
I know.
And I have agreed to bake a cake to
I'll
celebrate.
take a picture of it and put it on our socials, so you have to follow now.
Yes, just see what sort of cake I make.
Yeah. Can you decorate it like it's an F1 track?
I can try.
Or do that printing thing on the cake and put our logo. You know how you can print pictures on a cake?
Yeah, I know how, but no. I'm going full creative.
Oh.
I'm not letting a printer make my cake. I'm not eating something that's come out of a printer.
Fair.
Weird hill to die on.